Will was waving his picture, still excited. "I drew it, all by myself." "He traced it from a coloring book," Connie said under her breath. She crossed to the coat closet and retrieved her parka. "I drew it!" Will's forehead buckled into a frown. "I know, and you did a great job." Ellen stroked his silky head. "How was swimming, Con?" "Fine. Great." Connie put on her coat and flicked her ponytail out of the collar with a deft backhand. "He was a little fish." She got her brown purse and packed tote bag from the window seat. "Will, tell Mommy how great you did without the kickboard." Will pouted, a mood swing typical of toddlers and manic depressives. Connie zipped up her coat. "Then we drew pictures, right? You told me Mommy liked horses." "I drew it," Will said, cranky. "I love my picture, sweetie." Ellen was hoping to stave off a kitty meltdown, and she didn't blame him for it. He was plainly tired, and a lot was asked of 3-year-olds these days. She asked Connie, "He didn't nap, did he?" "I put him down, but he didn't sleep." "Too bad." Ellen hid her disappointment. If Will didn't nap, she wouldn't get any time with him before bed. Connie bent down to him. "See you later." Will was supposed to say alligator, but he didn't. His lower lip was already puckering. "You want to say goodbye?" Connie asked. Will shook his head, his eyes averted and his arms loose at his sides. He wouldn't make it through a book tonight, and Ellen loved to read to him. Her mother would turn over in her grave if she knew Will was going to bed without a book. "All right, then, bye-bye," Connie said, but Will didn't respond, his head downcast. The babysitter touched his arm. "I love you, Will." Ellen felt a twinge of jealousy, however unreasonable. "Thanks again," she said, and Connie left, letting in an icy blast of air. Then she closed and locked the door. "I drew it!" Will dissolved into tears, and the drawing fluttered to the hardwood floor. "Aw, baby, let's have some dinner." "All by myself." "Come here, sweetie." Ellen reached for him, but her hand hit the bag of Chinese food, knocking it to the floor and scattering the mail. She righted it before the food spilled, and her gaze fell on the white card with the photo of the missing boy. Uncanny. She picked up the bag of Chinese food and left the mail on the floor. For the time being. Chapter 2. Ellen put Will to bed, did a load of laundry, then grabbed a fork, napkin, and a cardboard container of leftover Chinese. She took a seat at the dining room table, and the cat sat at the other end, his amber eyes trained on her food, and his tail tucked around his chubby body. He was all black, except for a white stripe down the center of his face, and white paws like cartoon gloves. And Will had picked him because he looked so much like Figaro from the Pinocchio DVD. They couldn't decide whether to name him Figaro or Oreo, so they'd gone with Oreo Figaro. Ellen opened the container, forked chicken curry onto her plate, then dumped out the leftover rice, which came out in a solid rectangle like sand packed in a toy pail. She broke it up with her fork and caught sight of the Kaufmans, her neighbors across the shared driveway, doing their homework at their dining room table. The Kaufman boys were tall and strong, both lacrosse players at Lower Merion, and Ellen wondered if Will would play a sport in high school. There had been a time when she couldn't imagine him healthy, much less wielding a lacrosse stick. She ate a piece of chicken, gooey with bright yellow curry, which was still warmish. It hit the spot, and she pulled over the mail, sorted out the bills, and set them aside. It wasn't the end of the month, so she didn't have to deal with them yet. She ate another bite and was about to daydream her way through the Tiffany catalog when her gaze fell on the white card. She paused in mid-bite and picked it up. "Have you seen this child?" At the bottom it read, American Center for Missing and Abducted Children, ACMAC. Ellen set her fork down and eyed the photo of the missing boy again. There was no blaming the lighting this time. Her dining room had a colonial brass candelabra that hung from the ceiling, and in its bright light, the boy in the photo looked even more like Will. It was a black and white photo, so she couldn't tell if they had the same eye color. She read the caption under the photo. Name, Timothy Braverman. Resides, Miami, Florida. Date of birth, 1/1905. Eyes, blue. Hair, blonde. Stranger abduction, 1/2406. Asterisk. She blinked. They both